All right, everybody, welcome to the Utah Veteran Business Resource Center. We are doing a celebration all week long for National Veteran Small Business Week. And I wanted to just shout out a couple of things. We've got other things going on. If you haven't checked it out, they have it on their website. They've been posting it on LinkedIn all week long. But the Office of Veterans Business Development from the Small Business Administration started this years ago, and they're the ones that celebrate it nationally and declared it National Veteran Small Business Week as the first week in November. We're joining in with them as one of their entrepreneurial training partners with our Strive program. And I want to thank the Veterans Social Summit and Forged by Service for their support in helping us get it to the webinar stage here on the streaming platform we have here. So thank you guys for that. And I also want to thank our support from Utah Department of Veterans and Military Affairs. The IVMF has been a big supporter of ours as a Bunker Labs ambassador. We've got some other Bunker Labs ambassadors that will be joining us. And big shout out to Salt Lake Community College, where we're housed as our partners, and the support that they give us for everything that we do to help veterans. We've got a lot to cover today, so I'm going to bring in our crew, Henry and Ryan, as well as Christopher, and we'll do some brief introductions. But Christopher Kleinman is our full-time business advisor. So you saw in the video a few of the things that we do. Instead of me spending 20 minutes explaining what the VBRC is, we chopped it down to 1 minute 38 seconds, and we're trying to cut that down a little bit more, but we'll do it. And then we have Henry Bond he's also with Forged in Service, as well as Ryan Patrick Hunt, who's the founder of Forged by Service, excuse me, guys. But thank you so much for being with us. We'll have one more person join us shortly, Kelly Johnson, who's our other business advisor. As you all know, when the VA calls, you go. So Kelly will be joining us shortly. So just as we're moving forward on a couple of things, I wanted to kick off, National Veteran Small Business Week. Did you guys know this was a thing until recently, or what have you participated in the past? And really, I'd love to hear from each of you. What does it mean to know that the Small Business Administration is doing something that celebrates veterans all week long in November? Christopher, let's start with you.
Yeah, honestly, I think that this is great. I feel like the small business environment is already such a tough one to navigate. And then when you have some of the needs that veterans have as well, and all of the opportunities that come with it, it's just a lot, and it can be very overwhelming to these guys. And so I really appreciate that we have this time to go over what's available across the country, all the resources that are out there, and then we can kind of help people navigate through that process. That's what we do, but it's really nice to just shotgun it out there to everyone so they have a chance to know where to look.
Yeah, great. Ryan, over to you.
Yeah, first off, I want to thank you for the invite. Thank you, obviously, to IVMF and SBA, and also, obviously, to the VBRC for this invite and opportunity to talk. It's important. The National Veteran Small Business Week is definitely important because it is an opportunity for us, once again, to unite, grow, elevate, and empower our veteran community. 200,000 military veterans and military families are transitioning out of the Army or out of the military every year. I'm an Army guy, so I said Army. And these veterans, including myself and Henry for sure, make up over 5% of small businesses. So that's like 300,000 plus small businesses across the nation. And these businesses are employing over 3 million workers every year. So that isn't so small, actually. That's huge. The impact of the SBA is huge, and that's what they're doing here. They're helping to empower. So that's why I'm glad that this thing is around. I'll be full transparency. I did not know about the National Small Veteran Business Week until you told me and educated and empowered me, Becky. So I'm glad that I've had this opportunity to be here and to learn about this.
Yeah, great. Henry, thank you, Ryan. Henry, go ahead.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I mean, I love that we're celebrating veteran entrepreneurs and veteran small businesses. There's a statistic out there that say that there's about 2.5 million veteran small businesses in the United States right now. And each one of those businesses are employing veterans and impacting the communities that they live in. And so, when I found out about the National Veteran Small Business Week, like I think it was maybe last year or the year before, I was ecstatic and tried to do something each year to join in on all the activities. So, I mean, SBA are doing amazing things for the small business community. And I love that they're doing something bigger for the veteran small business community.
Yeah, no, it's a big deal. And all of you, as you're starting your own business, I'm a business owner. You've all been in business for yourselves as well, and currently are. It's not easy to tap in and find all the resources out there, because most of the time, like with us, we're busy trying to get people up and going and running, and so we hadn't done a lot of shouting out. I'll give you a little bit of history here in Utah and some stats from Utah. We have just under 130,000 veterans here in Utah alone. 9% of those are women, and we have about 9,000 military spouses that we know of. And within that mix of people, we do have quite a few who are business owners. And over the last, I'm going to say 7, 8 years, we were actually stood up in 2018. That's when our operations started. And they put on the veteran-owned business conference for I think it was the second year or so that they did that. But then we had been working, we had one director at the time, and it wasn't until 2022 that we ended up being able to fund another 2 positions, I guess 1.5 time FTEs, so that we could really start shouting that out. And what that meant when I started working here, we were able to connect with a lot of different business owners, and they were excited to know that this resource was here. They hadn't heard about it as well as we would have liked to have hoped they did. But we were able to expand. And from that point, we've just been running, trying to get everybody that we can to know about what resources are available to them, but also not just the resources, because it goes beyond that. Like we sit down, we walk the streets with you, we talk the talk with you and help you find your path forward. We pulled in significant partnerships that helps us do what we can do. And we've been working with VRNE, the Veteran Readiness and Employment division here in Salt Lake with the VA, to help veterans that are eligible and entitled for the self-employment track to get past that. And that's been a big deal. So that's the work of 2 previous directors and myself. We're all running and working together, but that's our situation here in Utah. We're really excited about what's ahead, and I can share that we've seen anything from cybersecurity companies to little bookkeeping companies to a music production company, and now a safety products company that's really just kind of exploded in the last little while. So I'm really excited to talk about this with you guys. So I would love to hear from each of you. I know on Tuesday we have navigating the self-employment track. I think that's going to be a boost for a lot of veterans that could potentially be eligible for that program. Wednesday, we're going to talk about getting your business off the ground. Thursday, we're talking about who is in your squad in entrepreneurship, putting some thought into that. One of the businesses that we worked with was Measure Once, Cut Once. And if you don't know their company, look them up. Very innovative. You can now measure once, cut once instead of measure twice, cut once with their technology. But he actually told us that because he said, when I'm out there deployed or when I have to go on my service for the military, I know who's in my squad. I know who has their place, who's going to help us all get back safely together. And then, but in entrepreneurship, I don't have that. It's just me. So he said that the VBRC had become his squad in entrepreneurship, and we kind of ran with that. I thought that was great. And then on Friday, I'm excited about, because you'll hear from AJ Richards, and you'll hear from our SBA regional administrators from the office of, or the administrator from the Office of Advocacy, Trent Staggs. He'll be with us in St. George, and you'll hear from both of them on how businesses actually can have a voice in policy and affect change. So that's a lot of topics to talk about. I'd love to hear what you guys are excited for. What do you think is going to be the most helpful for you or for others in the same boat of starting their business? I'm not going to pick on someone. You guys can jump in.
I'm excited overall for everything that's being brought this week. I mean, it's going to be tremendous value for those that want to be entrepreneurs or even just for employment, having a deeper understanding, having just the networking is always huge. Even though this is a virtual space, I would highly recommend that everyone that's out there watching definitely connect with us all on LinkedIn. I'm easy to find. It's Ryan Patrick Hunt on LinkedIn, but everyone here is definitely available. And I'm going to speak for Christopher. I don't know Christopher too well, but we are here to support the veteran community. So reach out to us, utilize us. I know Henry, Becky, and I are all IVMF Bunker Lab ambassadors, which is just a tremendous program through the Institute for Veterans and Military Families. And in that capacity, definitely want to help veterans, whether they're trying to, move along a path of entrepreneurship or a professional path, because the IVMF have so many different programs like Onward to Opportunities or VWise or EBV. There's so many different opportunities that are available out there. But anyways, we're here. And that's what I'm excited about, is just sharing the information and bringing the value and watching the value come back my way as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I could jump in after Ryan, maybe this is a shameless plug, but I'm excited for Wednesday. So getting your business off the ground. I feel like that's our bread and butter here at the VBRC.
That's critical.
Really take a lot of people come to us with just ideas and dreams, and we help turn those into lists of actionable items, and we walk through every single step of the process with them. It's really hard to know what you don't know, right? And so being able to talk back and forth with someone who has a little bit of experience and leverage some of the resources that we have, it's just an incredible opportunity. So Wednesday, I think, is going to be great. We're going to get down to some actual nuts and bolts, talking about steps that people can take, and not just shamelessly trying to plug our own processes and tell you to come meet with us. But I think we'll actually be going through some things that should inspire people who are sitting on the sidelines, deciding whether or not they want to throw their hat in the ring to actually start up their own business. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, go ahead, Henry.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Thursday, Who's in Your Squad? Dude, it's so important to have, mentors and friends and people just like in your corner, people you can just bounce ideas off, have a sounding board, because as entrepreneurs or business owners, we can't do this on our own. And there's certain things that we can we can't talk about to just anybody, right? Because we can't get advice from just anybody, but trusted from people that we trust from. So from marketing, sales, and operations, and whatever it is that you're having confusion around different topics or how to move into the next step, having a trusted team of advisors is going to be crucial in getting your business to move forward and in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. I love all of the things that you guys have been saying, because it all kind of ties into into where you can go. And Sam just dropped a comment. Hi, Sam. It's good to have you here. He said it helps when you have a rockstar group in your corner, and love that we can feel like, well, I love it when people feel like they can come to us with any question that they have. So I'll tell you the history from us, like Gary Harder. He's the executive director for Utah Department of Veterans and Military Affairs. Back in 2017, he was at our economic development. He was the director of our economic development stuff for the governor's office, and he stood up these business resource centers and put a V in front of one for veteran. And there was quite a few of them throughout the state, and we're the last one standing of those BRCs. And they thought, how's this going to work? Let's experiment here. And we've been running ever since to help all of our veterans and really push this out. So I'm going to ask a couple of other things that we can do. Why I know. So it's not just veterans that we support; it's active duty, reserve guard, and military spouses. Why is that so critical at this time right now to support military connected businesses? I can share my thoughts after you all go, but I have something in particular I want to point out. But I would love to hear like why you all feel it's important to support our military connected businesses.
I'll jump in. I think something to consider, and I've been thinking a lot about this. What is different from a veteran versus any other small business owner, small business or entrepreneur? Veterans do have a unique set of issues that they have to overcome. Namely, especially on the active duty side, you have to think that they're moving around a lot, right? Duty station to duty station on deployments. They're building a very tight network, but when they leave, when they are no longer with the military, that network is effectively gone. They may or may not live around all of their battle buddies that they've been with this entire time, through an entire career in many cases. And so we're getting a lot of guys who are coming in, guys and gals who are coming in after their first career with the military with no network at all, or at least very limited network. And so being able to have a place to come in and find your people and connect with resources and connect with other people who are trying to do the same thing that you're doing is just incredibly valuable.
Yeah, I agree. The tribe is really an important aspect of, and the network is really an important aspect of this entrepreneurial journey. I also think of several companies come to mind. Nike was founded by a 10th Mountain veteran. I'm a 10th Mountain guy, so I had to plug that real quick. REI, all the ski resorts, most of them, I should say, in Colorado. Walmart. I mean, these are all veteran created companies. So to me, that's what's important about supporting small business veterans, is they're trying to build their companies. You know, I want to see more Walmarts. Well, what I mean by that is I want to see more companies that are founded by veterans. I want to see the next REI or the next Nike, because these are just amazing things that veterans have created. They bring so much to the fight, you know, a little cliche there, but you know, they bring a lot to the fight every day and into our economy. So that's why it's important.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, leaving service is one of the hardest things a lot of us have to do, because we're leaving from an established community, you know, that where we're getting regular paychecks, regular food, stability, right? And now we're thrust into an environment where none of that is happening. And so, and it's hard for a lot of us to find jobs, because it's not just, I mean, it's not tied to, you know, our purpose or what we're trying to do next or whatever it is. Most veterans just want to put food on the table for their families. And it's hard to find that community within us. So that's why I think, you know, most veterans should start business, because it's tied into, you know, the purpose of like the greater overall purpose of doing something bigger, right? And as veterans, we're always looking for something bigger to do to help support our family or friends, the community that we live in. And we're just so tied into that purpose. It's hard for us to just kind of remove ourselves from it. So I think veteran entrepreneurship, veteran getting to small business is crucial. It's a crucial step for us to move forward in our lives.
Yeah. So going along all of the theme of what you all just said, the theme of this year's official SBA theme is celebrating the strength, innovation, and resilience of veteran entrepreneurs in American manufacturing and beyond. So their theme is honoring veteran-owned and American-made. That's not always possible, because not everything for your raw materials you can get in the United States, right? And so one of the things that has been a challenge is to help people find those resources. I want to, because of that type of a thing, that's a challenge we're going to talk about. I have a couple of highlights that I would like to make, but we'll do that in a little bit. I want to talk just a couple of different things that are helpful with challenges, overcoming some of these challenges. So there's a lot of uncertainty, I'm going to say, right now going on. We have a lot of people that have been affected by the goings on of what's happening in the United States. And so let's talk about access to capital. That's everyone's favorite topic. That's the biggest one we get. The question that we always get is, can you get me where all the grants are to start my business? And there really aren't grants to start a business anymore. I mean, all of us have been business owners, and it's been really interesting to kind of see where the money ebbs and flows from. So I want to also, we're going to pause for just a second. We're going to welcome Kelly Johnson. He's our part-time business advisor with the VBRC, and he's on a side quest at the moment. So he'll chime in here in just a minute. And then we have Luke Medvegi as well. He's a business owner. So Luke, we're just talking about your experience, like as a business owner, starting your business. But I'd love to hear what kept you all resilient in being a business owner, especially with situations where there's struggles with access to capital.
It's for me, it's finding the next client, and it's knowing that I can, just help the next business owner get a good marketing plan in place so that they can start doing outreach and start reaching the customers in their area. The more that the small business owner grows, the more that they're impacting other people in the community. And so, so the more clients and customers I get, right, the more revenue I'm getting,
Mm-hmm.
and the more people I'm helping out, as in a larger scheme of things. So that's what keeps me resilient and just working on that next client, because at the end of the day, right, grants are fun to get, but it's super hard to get. It's so competitive. The very few that are out there, right? And then if you're a business that's investable, it's hard for VCs or angel investors, whatever, to invest in your business if you're not showing that you have customers coming in. You're not showing that you have revenue coming in. So investing in trying to find that first customer is going to be crucial for your business and your business resiliency moving forward.
Yeah, no, you're singing my song. Sales is the way that you actually give away of your business, meaning your product or service, without giving away ownership of your business. You keep 100% ownership. Sales is the best way. Ryan, did you want to share?
I was just thinking, Henry and I were talking about client acquisition this morning,
Mm-hmm.
and it's definitely 100%. It is the sales and client acquisition is the really the heartbeat of an organization in a small business.
Mm-hmm.
So very important. And to your point, Becky, I mean, really cannot emphasize enough the importance of understanding and really honing the sales process. It's huge in business, small business or anything. And it doesn't matter whether you're selling a service or a widget or whatever you have, sales is going to be critical. On that, I do have to plug IVMF again, because they do have a partnership with Sandler Sales Course. So for those that go through, for example, the EBV program, they can get access to the Sandler Sales Course. So a lot of people are not comfortable with sales. As entrepreneurs, it's just, as I said, it's invaluable. So link in with IVMF, get the Sandler Sales Course. It'll help to level you up and definitely help you become a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, 100%. And there's people in your community that can help as well. We'll go through a list of those at the end of who might be in your community where you can tap into. Sam, I know, is in Colorado, and he shared that their BRCC, veteran founded, huge supporter of other veteran owned small businesses. And so they do have a strong veteran community in Colorado. So it's not just, he's also an IVMF ambassador. Tapping into any one of us, you have access to all these ambassadors across the country, which has been great. I want to answer real quick the question from Irving. VRNE is not shut down. I mean, I guess they are shut down with this government shutdown they got going on. But when they reopen, it's good to have your stuff ready to go. for when they do reopen, so you can hit the ground running with that. But it's great to have you here. So let's see. I wanted to talk, Christopher. Yeah, go ahead, Luke.
Hey, sorry, I've been having so many technical difficulties. It's been crazy. But I wanted to just hit upon your last question. So, at the end of the day, this really goes to Henry and building your business and setting up your team of advisors and setting up your team of trusted agents when you build that business. That helps you. So when you get into business generation, you getting into trying to say, hey, how do I fund my company? As a founder to CEO, you're always on that track of how to fund your company. It never leaves. So by setting up that team of advisors, it helps make it more dynamic and therefore opens up more avenues that maybe one person would not have thought by themselves.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to bring that up as a point. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think that's very, very true. And I know that you've been working in that space as well, and helping to build your team because you have multiple businesses, Luke. It's very, very relevant for this topic. I wanted to bump over to Christopher because Christopher came from a financial planning type background. What have you seen that's been the best strategies for businesses getting started as far as financing goes?
Yeah, I like bootstrapping. I think that there's kind of the glamour with raising funds and raising capital, but bootstrapping is, I think, the way to go. That's how you really know your business. That's how you really own your business. That's how you become your own boss. I'm never going to discourage anyone from dreaming big, but we should also dream really small. And if you have extra time to dream at night, dream about the actual transaction where money exchanges hands from the customer to your bank account. Dream about that moment. And then this is the military term, backwards plan from there. Backwards plan going both ways. How did that customer get there? Why are they buying your products? How did you get the product there? Right? Like, what are all of the things that you need to consider in making that moment happen? So dream about that moment. Dream about the moment of transaction. And I think a lot of things will start falling into place in a way that cuts out a lot of the fluff. Fluff kills. We pay a lot of money for fluff. And if you can run, we use the lean business model canvas here at the VBRC with a lot of people. And again, cut the fluff if you can. Fluff is expensive.
Yeah, it's 100%. So I'm tying the fluff because I'm not a fluff gal. Ryan and Henry know that about me, not about the fluff.
That's true.
I want to tap into something that Irving just commented, that the issue with grants is getting certified, or we're going to change the word grant to government contracting, because this is where this is shifting to for his comment. But veteran owned, being certified as veteran owned. So in Utah, if you're in Utah, there is a state of Utah veteran owned business registry that they wanted to recognize all of the efforts put forth by military connected folks. And you don't have to have 51% ownership in Utah. Nationally, to be recognized and certified as veteran owned, you have to have 51% ownership. And that certification is done by the SBA. As soon as I stop talking to someone else's, I'll drop the link to that, to where to sign up, to where to start that process. But that's something that we help you walk through, is getting that certification done. If you're not in Utah, you also have access to small business development centers. There's thousands of those across the nation. And you also have Apex accelerators who can do that. And they don't charge for the help because you'll already pay for that in your taxes. But Apex accelerators actually helps you. And there are set asides. Now I'm going to tell you, here's the loophole, or not the loophole, but here's the thing about government contracting. Just because you step into that and say, I'm going to do government contracting, if you're in a very competitive space for construction or HVAC or anything like that, thanks, Sam, for dropping the link. I appreciate that. If you're going into government contracting, it's just like gaining any other customer, in the respect that you have to convince the government to pull their dollars away from who they're currently using to give them to you. And if they don't know who you are or you haven't worked in that sphere for very long, it's going to be very competitive space for you. So it's not that you sign up and then there's magically a government contract sitting waiting for you. You do have to win those bids. But those are things that you can work with your team, your VBOC. I'm gonna shout out our Veteran Business Outreach Centers here. The one that covers our region is we're in a 3-state region with Wyoming and Montana. Our Big Sky VBOC, Veteran Business Outreach Center, they've been phenomenal to support veterans in Utah and as well as Montana and Wyoming. And they know exactly how to get you to the right resources. Now, they agree with me on this. This is the rule that we have here. I guess we have 3 rules here at the VBRC. My first rule is that if you need something, you don't suffer in silence. I don't care if it's business related or not. If it's veteran connected, if it's military connected, you need help getting to something or some information, get to us because we will get you to the right place if we're not the right place for you. And then rule number 2 is if we're working with you, I don't care what we're talking about. If the VA calls, you answer the phone. And then rule number 3 is that we just, allow us to walk the path with you so that we can keep in contact with us so that we can keep you updated on what resources are out there. And also not just, hey, here's a resource, have a nice day, but let's make something happen actionable from connecting you with that resource. So, I got lots of soapboxes today. Sorry about that. Access to capital is a sore spot for a lot of people, but there's ways to fortify your business through that. One, we also talk about continuity planning, where how are you going to keep your business open, especially if you're active duty and you get deployed? What can you do? What's your plan? We also help you figure out those plans as well as your sales plans. But I want to talk about some of the trends affecting small businesses. Now, for you guys on here, you can toss some other things in here that you know of, but I want to there's rising operational costs. I think we all know inflation, tariffs that has affected some of especially our manufacturing businesses quite heavily. Our beef industry is struggling. There's a lot of pressure and speaking of the fluff, Christopher, and Ryan, here's some fluff that I absolutely get upset about is when I hear everybody saying, oh, I need to sign up for this AI program. I have to have this subscription to this. And the fastest way to drain your bank account is with subscriptions to things you don't need. So be mindful of those things. Only sign up for the services you absolutely need. There's a lot of AI adoption out there, digital transformation. It's reshaping how we operate as business owners. So anything you guys want to add in about economic trends affecting small businesses or solutions that you have? Ooh, I stunned you all into silence. So what about embracing e-commerce? Henry, you have a product.
Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, Luke.
just so absolutely. I mean, if we're talking about how to generate revenue for your business, having an e-commerce for your business is one avenue that you can do. Just make sure that it's reputable, makes sense for your business, right? And so I do have a hot sauce business. We're not online yet, but we're working towards that. Now, if we're talking about if you have a service-based business, think about different ways of bringing revenue into your organization, right? And so what does that? I mean, we have 4 people here. What does that look like? How do we generate more revenue for our businesses?
For a service-based business?
For a service-based business.
Okay. I'm gonna bite my tongue because I've said a lot, but I'll wait. I want to hear what you guys say.
The question is, how do we expand out our services?
How do you generate income or revenue for a service-based business?
I mean, you you touch a little bit right there with the whole like government or federal contracting, and people have to realize that there's federal contracting, which if you're a veteran, definitely register with the SBA, go that route. And there's also local procurement. You touch a little bit about that with the state, the county, the city, different metro, port authority. There's so many different procurement opportunities to generate more revenue for your business. Now, it doesn't make sense for everybody, but there's for local procurement, there's definitely a slice of the pie that you can get, depending on and it doesn't matter what kind of service-based business you have.
Yeah. Christopher, anything? Ryan, anything you want to add?
I was thinking in terms of expanding out. If you have a service-based business, something that we do, and I won't plug my business specifically, but just recently, so I'm in the recruiting field, so I'll just say that. So recently, I've started expanding out to the broader area of HR and offering that as a expanded service. So not only are we doing recruiting now, we're doing consulting for organizations, and so that's expanded out the business quite a bit. And so that's something that I wouldn't recommend for a brand new business. A lot of people say to really focus in and be very niche, if you will. But as you grow and you become very specialized, you have these opportunities to expand out. I also have an e-commerce, much like Henry, one of my original businesses. And so with that, again, it's a very small business, but it's grown into other opportunities as I've become very knowledgeable and specialized in digital marketing and e-commerce, as we see with some of my other projects, not to be mentioned here. Even this right here, Veteran Social Summit and Forged by Service, hosting this is actually an evolution of my first business in e-commerce. So here we are 10 years later, going from e-commerce and expanding out where we're doing streaming conferences. You would not have thought that there would be any link to all this, but it is all digital marketing.
Yeah, and just to piggyback of what Ryan was saying, when you're starting out, I'm usually going to advise people to be laser focused on what your offering is. And back to cutting the fluff, you try to cut as much extra out as you can. Once your business, maybe a few years down the road, starts to become a little bit more robust, then maybe recognize that the most difficult thing that you do is often client acquisition. And so being able to have more offerings for the clients that you already have in your book, that goes a long way. And so what additional services can you offer, especially for a service-based business? So if you're like my background's in the financial advising industry, but maybe a CPA or law, find out some of the little things along the fringes that you can add to benefit your clients. Take a more client-focused approach. What are the things that they need? And specifically, what are the things that all of my clients need? How can I batch these things together? I don't want to be just chasing odds and ends throughout, but if I can find a service enhancement that benefits all of my clients, or at least most of my clients, then maybe that's something valuable that's worth looking into.
One of the things I started doing was to build partnerships. So in my marketing agency, what I did was I found people who specialized in different areas of marketing. So, in things that I'm not like super strong at, such as like branding or whatever, I found a branding specialist, copywriting, photography, video, just all these different, and we built a team around us, around it, so that we can start tackling on bigger contracts, right? Because there's only so much I can do.
That's huge.
If I want to specialize in my area of marketing. But if I want to take on bigger contracts or provide a larger amount of services, I have to bring on different individuals so that we can start doing just bigger things.
Yeah, we do the same. I do the same thing also to Henry's point, bringing in as many collaborators as we can. And recruiting, that's very easy. Either it's coming from other recruiting agencies partnering with me because they have too many roles or too hard of a search, or vice versa. So if you can bring in partners and collaborators, you can definitely expand out your services. And one other thing, just to Christopher's point earlier on, talking about bootstrapping. I mean, to be able to really learn the art and the science of bootstrapping is definitely important for a lot of small businesses, especially as you're starting. To me, bootstrapping means being able to leverage all these resources that are available out there, and resources are people too. So the network, leveraging your network, leveraging opportunities. I go back to IVMF, Institute for Veterans Military Families, and their Onward to Opportunity program, where you can get certified in PMP or an HR credential. These are important, especially as we're talking about federal or local contracts in terms of capabilities. So you want to be able to build out your capabilities statement, and that potentially is one way of really certifying that you have these expertise if you're in those areas. And then speaking to EBV, the Entrepreneur Boot Camp for veterans, that is a all expense paid trip, a workation, if you will, that gives you just a lot of knowledge, a huge access to a network, and a lot of resources that can help to build your business as a bootstrapper.
Yeah, those are all fantastic points, and I want to stay on this topic for just a minute, because there's also some resources if you're not sure where you're starting at or what you need. There's IVMF has fantastic programs. They have stuff from ideation phase all the way through growth phase and beyond. The VBRC, we've worked with clients that have been just kicking the tires on an idea, to starting it up, to growing it, to I need to get out of this business. How do I stop this one and start something new or retire? We've helped with valuations of companies and worked with all different types of things. But if you're really not sure and you're just like, I got to figure out where to start or what I think, I'm going to drop a link here. It's the SBA actually put together some really helpful tips and tricks for people. And this learning.sba.gov, there's these modules you can take that really start you on your journey. And I'm going to point out a couple of things from what you all have said. Service-based businesses. We got this question this time around with our Strive class, which is the startup training resources to inspire veteran entrepreneurship, that we are one of the Strive Consortium schools with IVMF that teaches that. One of the things the questions that came up is that, we talked a lot about products, but what about the service side of things? I'm going to tell you one thing that I think that is really important to know is that the word discount is kind of a dirty word, especially when you're just starting out. Sometimes, yes, you can collaborate. Sometimes you can, yes, say, hey, we'll do this, and you can provide this, and I'll provide that, and we'll do this together. But as far as discounting goes, have a partner rate instead, so that you're not saying, because I don't think you should ever discount what your level of expertise is. Don't ever discount your expertise. But as far as marketing goes, a lot of people think I've got to get on social media, I've got to drop my ads. The least expensive way to do that, which is why we use the lean canvas model, is because we want you to spend the least amount of money out of your pocket to get started. But one of the things that you want to make sure that you do is when you're doing your marketing, you don't jump into selling your service right away. I need to be aware of you before I'm going to purchase from you. And the awareness ads, this is the same on LinkedIn as it is on Facebook and Instagram. The awareness ads, just to get people to know who you are and what you do, that's where you start. Because once people are aware of you, then they go into the consideration phase and they're like, okay, well, I'm considering working with you for these things. And then they get more information, they get more curious, and the content you can push out there. Once you know you need to go to the consideration phase, that's when you switch into the purchase phase and you start selling. But people need to be aware of you, that they want to work with you before, just because you put an ad on Facebook. This is why it's so frustrating when people say, I put out thousands of dollars on ads for my business and I got no ROI, it's because nobody knows who you are yet. You haven't convinced them that they should purchase from you. So that's one of the things that you want to consider. We'll go through a list of people or of organizations available to you to help. Not every state has a VBRC that is state funded to help with. Sam's dropping some value nukes there in the comments, which is fantastic. But there's a lot that's available for manufacturing as well. I know on the Journey side of things, I don't know if they have one specific for manufacturing, but we can have conversations to help you get started. In manufacturing and resources, the SBA actually dropped some loans that you can do, special loans that you can use to if you're doing manufacturing in the United States. So keeping on top of that, where do you go to help answer those questions? Well, your small business development centers, the VBOX can help. Like, they all have access to knowledge about those resources available to you, and will help you walk through those steps to get there. But the biggest thing is to start with a goal in mind. Now, our goal with this week is to help bring you closer to your steps, and hopefully you walk away with some value solving a problem in your business. If you have feedback for us on what would be helpful for us to share out in the future, we're open to that. Would love to see what other content we can provide. I want to switch the topic for just a minute, because we've talked a lot about businesses, but I want to make sure people know, I said the wrong thing earlier. I forgot something, and I apologize. But we also help Blue Star, Gold Star spouses, and we'll help parents as well with businesses so that we can help them push forward as military connected. So as you're looking at, I have a couple of questions for you all as we kind of get ready to close this down. Gosh, I've talked way too much. Okay. I want to ask each of you, because Christopher's still in. He's in the National Guard here. And Henry and Ryan, for you who have transitioned out, how does your sense of mission carry over into your business today? Because sometimes it can be hard for someone who's been in the military, one, to transition into a role of business owner, and two, it's hard to see how the skills they learned in the military translate to help them with their business. But then three, it can be hard to step out of, like, I am a veteran and being seen as a business owner sometimes. Henry, you and I have had that conversation. Yeah. So you guys can spout out on any of those things. I would love to hear your take on that.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack there. I'm an accidental entrepreneur. So I started my first business while I was on a TDY. And while I was for 6 months, sitting in my hotel room on Fort Lewis, and I distorted a 10th Mountain patch and put it into a group of about 10,000 10th Mountain veterans and said, I've got stickers. I didn't have stickers. I was just messing around. And overnight, I had over 5,000 orders come in, or messages. And so I had to scramble to figure out, how do I make these stickers? And from there, I took the earnings from that, I rolled it into other products. And next thing I knew, in 2016, I made $1 million selling hats, stickers, and T-shirts. So much so I went from the hotel to the garage and made a huge mistake. I had a warehouse for a little while in Las Vegas, which was interesting. And so there was the transition was happening while I was in service. And I realized right away that there were a lot of skills. The military teaches you a lot of things, especially if you, not in all cases, unfortunately, not everyone has the same experiences, but I was given a lot of ability to take initiative and to be creative during my military service. And so I leveraged all those opportunities and experiences to what I'm doing back then and to today. And one other thing I would say is huge important as an entrepreneur is you really need to have the mindset. Mindset is 99.98% of everything you do as an entrepreneur. If you can't see it in your mind, you're probably not going to be able to accomplish it, whether you're bootstrap or you're funded. So you really need to put it into your head that you have to be able to see what you want, but you can make it happen. No one can tell you not to do it, and you can accomplish those things. So I've taken all of that spirit, that grit, and I apply it today as a entrepreneur, as a vetrepreneur. Next.
Yeah. If I could comment, so I've been with the Army National Guard for a little over 8 years now, and everything that you do goes through this process of, because you were going to think ahead. We're making plans. Even what I'm doing here with the VBRC, everything I'm doing with my own other businesses on the side, you have to understand that you're just going to leave for sometimes short periods of time, sometimes as little as just we're going to miss a Friday here and there for a longer drill or 2 weeks in the summer. But realistically, there will be times where you're gone for months or years, and you have to do everything with that nagging in the back of your mind. And that is a very interesting experience to have to parse through. I think that's pretty unique to the National Guard members and the reservists. And so you're operating in a space where you're a business owner, and everything relies on you, and your family relies on that income. And that's a tough proposition. I like Becky brought up having, would you say, like a succession plan, but you need to have a plan for succession that you come back to. There's never a more important time to really leverage your network, have resources, have partnerships, formalize these partnerships, have everything in writing. You really need to nail it down because you could just be gone for 6 months. You could be completely unavailable for a full year, and that's just part of the game. And so I think that is just a really unique challenge that you have to prepare for and anticipate. And so at the VBRC, we're trying to help people the best we can to anticipate some of those things that'll come up, especially again for our reservists and our Guard folks. But there's a lot there, and it's just a lot to consider.
I think the succession planning is for any organization, whether you're small or a huge organization, is critical. And I see Sam made a comment about plans A through M. And I think that builds upon what you said, Christopher, is that you really, and you were actually saying it initially, which is you really need to sit back to get to this vision that I was talking about earlier. You need to create a plan. And there's a lot of ways of doing it. My lieutenants used to say that I had the DeLorean parked in the motor pool. But all that's saying is you have to go into the future, and you have to make it to your vision, and then start backwards planning and creating milestones and having branches and sequels, understanding you need to have a plan B through M, as Sam said, in the group. That way you can better anticipate, you can have better flexibility and adaptability to stuff. They say that planning is everything, the plan is nothing. So I'll just throw that out there and let Henry kind of pick up from there.
No, absolutely. I mean, I totally agree. In the military, we have the saying, and I'm gonna screw this up. What is it? Let's see. No plan survives first contact. Is that right?
That's it.
Yeah. And so, as business owners, especially veteran business owners, that is something that we have to be comfortable with, right? Because
have your pace plan, as Irving says.
Yeah, you have your plan, but also have your plan to pivot, right? Or change gears, or move AORs, or whatever it is, because especially early on, you're gonna find so many different things that your business idea might not be the idea that you're going to be running. It may be something different, or something that is similar to it, right? The customers that you want to reach out to that you think are your customers may not be it. As you start to talk to more people, do more customer discovery, you're gonna find that who your customers actually are. The people are gonna be breaking your product, breaking your service, or whatever it is. The people that you like to work with, right? There are certain customers that I love to work with, and same thing with like everybody on this panel. And then those are my ideal clients, people I love and like do some amazing work with me. And then there's business owners that are going to be not so great, but you truck on because they're paying you and you want to provide a good service regardless of whether or not you like them. Let's be honest. Like, so there's a lot there. I mean, when I first started out, I offered my service for free just to test it out, right? Just to figure out whether or not entrepreneurship or business owner is for me. And once I found that it was, I started to dive more into it and figure out, okay, the things I'm doing right now for small businesses are the things that I want to make sure that outlives them, right? And so the more my customers grow, my clients, their businesses grow, the more they're hiring more people within their community.
Mm-hmm.
They're impacting the communities that way. They're giving back. And so that's my small little way of finding purpose and mission within my service-based business.
Yeah, that's amazing, Henry.
Yeah.
Actually, I was thinking like it's important. Recently, I went to one of my clients and I just gave them a service, we'll just say for free. And I didn't expect anything in return, but they gave me this amazing testimonial and they've been back so many different times. So that's one way of building the trust and building those relationships with clients.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we do talk about that in our marketing that when we meet with clients is that compensation is not always monetary. It just isn't. Sometimes it's that partnership of, hey, could you give me a review for this? Or maybe they surprise you with it like they did with you, Ryan. We're at the end of our time. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for spending time with us. I do want to drop some value for those of you who may be affected by the government shutdown. If you're in Utah, here's the resource to the Utah Department of Veterans and Military Affairs. I just dropped that in the chat. If you go to veterans.utah.gov, they do have information on how to access benefits or how to get help with that. And then if you haven't been there, I'm sure most of you have, but here is what the VA put out as contingency planning. I know there's not a lot of extremely helpful things out there. This has been a big eye opener, but I think that we can pull together. And if you haven't contributed to where you can drop off food to help with the food banks, so that whether that be on a military basis closest to you or help get some food to these families that may need it, help maybe surprise them, pay their power bill for the month. I don't know, something that you can do to help them, to keep them going. I just want to throw this out there. We all can put on our resumes that we survived a pandemic and we can survive a government shutdown. So I think that we're all resilient. You guys are so impressive to me. Thank you for inspiring me and spending your morning with me. Thank you all. I'm going to give you, if you have just a short little nugget of advice for a business owner just getting started, we'll close out with that. Mine would be connect with all the resources you can take advantage of, whether that be with us or with another person or another. There's other entrepreneur training programs out there. There's Onabin in Oklahoma. There's the Revenue Readiness. There's Warrior Rising. There's a lot of different things that are out there to help you take advantage of as many as you can. There's my nugget. Henry, we'll pass it to you.
Absolutely. I mean, here's the thing: build your squad, find your advisors for your business, build your board of directors, so that when it comes time for you to, pivot or change direction or add a new service or figure out whether or not your business is actually worth pursuing moving forward, your team of advisors will let you know yes, no, or maybe, right? And they'll do that. And the second piece of advice I give to all entrepreneurs is to get a life, right? As business owners, as entrepreneurs and whatever, we forget one thing: to take care of ourselves, right? We lock in, we spend 24 hours a day working on our business, but you are starting your business, you started becoming an entrepreneur for a purpose, for a reason. And sometimes there's reasons for your family or whatever. And don't lose sight of that, because when you lose sight of that, that's when burnout becomes real. So take some time in your 24 hours a day, spend time with your family, with your friends, or take care of yourself so that burnout doesn't happen and you can actually grow and scale your business.
Thanks, Henry.
I'm going to
Christopher.
say get intimate with that point of sale, that transaction. Understand why and when and where and how that client is giving money to your business. Nothing will survive without that moment happening, and then backwards plan from there.
Wow. I don't know how to follow up with all of that, but just to reinforce everyone is leverage all the resources that are available to you, whether it's SBA, IVMF, or Rosie Network is a huge one with Stephanie Brown, or University of Florida has a veteran entrepreneur program that's free for veterans in the veteran community. There's so many of these programs that are out there. Check them out. If you're confused and you're lost even after this, reach out to us. We are resources here. These 4 talking heads are resources for you, and we want you to be able to climb to the next summit. So consider us your veteran community Sherpas, if you will. So thank you. I appreciate you all.
Love that. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about navigating the VRNE self-employment track. Really excited to have our VBOC director, Rick Brown, with us, as well as Ryan Rutland with Refuge Industries and Leon Clayton with Leon Clayton Photography, 2 veteran business owners, stellar human beings who have been through the process with us. Excited to have that conversation with you. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks.